Welcome. We'll get started in just a minute here. Did I miss it? It's 4 p.m. already? You did not miss it. You are here for the ride. Frequency Friday back on the menu. How about that? All right, I'm going to stop DJing here and get a little bit more serious. Welcome aboard, everybody. We'll get started here in just a minute. I did a test run here before I got started. Hopefully everything is coming through loud and clear on your end. When I tested it, it sounded fine. All right. The purpose of today's video is to talk about gear. I've got a lot of stuff in for review, and so I thought we would kind of just cycle through what I could put on the table. And trust me, there's a lot more than this. But let's go ahead and get the show started. For anyone that's going to be watching this video in the future, not live, I wanted to just kind of back up for just a minute, and we're going to take care of some house cleaning topics, if you will. So, Frequency Friday, what is that? That's a great question, and that's where we should start. Frequency Friday was some videos that I used to do on my channel, and I would try to get them out every single Friday. Hence the name frequent, and then obviously a wordplay with frequency. And the videos wouldn't be live, but what they would be is just whatever I wanted to talk about. So it would be, topical content, speaker placement, stuff that I have in for review, you name it. So a lot of different stuff. And I've been really busy. I appreciate everybody that's reached out like, hey, are you okay? Is everything all right? Everything is totally fine. I've just been working on some side projects and it pulled me away from the channel. And it was actually a good thing because it allowed me to kind of reset, if you will, and start thinking through what do I want to do here? And for anybody that has been with me for a while, that I typically just reinvent and change things. And as soon as I get kind of comfortable and things get a little bit dull, then I shake things up, and that's what we're gonna do. So, Frequency Friday is this is the first Frequency Friday episode that we're gonna reboot. And the purpose and the point of Frequency Fridays moving forward is every Friday I will do a live show. So this will be an opportunity for people that, they miss me when I decide to go live. Now we have a set schedule. So every single Friday you can rely on a live show from New Record Day. And I'm going to be intentional about topics. So instead of, like a lot of these live shows that we do where it's like ask me anything, and those are fun. I love those, and I'll always leave time at the end of the live show to answer questions. But what I was thinking is it's a good opportunity to stay focused on something very specific. So as an example, today we're going to be talking about a lot of gear. And in a future episode of Frequency Friday, we might actually single out one thing that I'm reviewing and kind of talk a little bit more about it in detail. So this is pretty powerful because then it allows me to get more granular about all the details about the product. And that's one of the challenges that I think every YouTube reviewer will talk about is it's hard to pack in everything in the review. And I think that in a live setting where you guys are asking questions, I'll be able to answer questions, and it'll be more dynamic and kind of back and forth, which I'm really excited to do. So that is the purpose and the point moving forward for Frequency Fridays. So again, every Friday there will be a live show just like today, and I might change up the times just so I can hit different time zones. That's something that I plan on doing. Um, so that's that. Other house cleaning topics. Um, we have a new video that will be out tomorrow, and it is the first video that I've done here in Texas where I've used this guy right here. I'm not sure if I'm going to rename him Randy because this is a different dummy head than what we had before. For those that participated in the GoFundMe raiser for um, this guy, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. You made this possible. This is not mine. This is ours. So this is a tool that we are going to be able to use, this day moving forward for binaural sound clips, recording sound clips with commentary. And tomorrow is the very first episode, video, if you will, where I've done some sound clips. And what the video is about, just to give you guys a heads up, is I have, and we'll be talking about it in a minute. It's just right over here, but I have this little chip amp prototype from GR Research from Danny, and I think he's going to actually bring this thing to market in whatever capacity that is. It might be limited numbers, but he's going to start selling these things. And he wanted me to check it out, and it's only 10 watts. Um, and I was just sitting there like, huh, what can we do with 10 watts? I mean, what can you do? And I gotta say, even though I expected good things from it, because I do have a decent understanding of speaker sensitivity and watts and all of these types of things that a lot of times we think we need a gazillion watts when we don't. Um, I was blown away. I was blown away, and I think you will be blown away by how good this thing actually sounds on the M3 Sapphires. That particular combo, it worked really well. I've been fascinated with it, and so tomorrow's video is going to be exploring watts in the sense of how many watts do we need? How many watts do audiophiles really need? The video is done. It's ready to go. So that'll be out tomorrow, probably around 9 o'clock Central. So that covers the head. I don't know his name yet. I'm not sure. But yeah, this is going to be awesome. It's a powerful tool. And again, I just want to say thanks to you guys that participated. What ended up happening was there is a filmmaker in California that has had this unit for a while, and he actually stumbled across our video, my YouTube video, and he hasn't been using this very much. And he actually sold it to me used. And even though we weren't quite to his price used on the GoFundMe, I just covered the rest. So I jumped in. I was like, you know what? We got to get this thing. And so I covered the rest of the amount. This thing is now ours, and we're ready to rock and roll. So let me get him off the table, and we'll start taking a look at all this gear. Sorry, Randy. Oh, see, I just call him Randy. I'm so used to calling him Randy. We'll have to come up. What do you guys think we should name him this time around? You let me know. All right, so I'm gonna try to do this in some kind of an order. I don't want to talk about this yet because this is really wild. We'll save that for a minute. You guys, a lot of you guys have been hounding me about, hey, Ron, all of this, like, I guess we can call it chi-fi, Chinese hi-fi. I'm not in love with that term, but nonetheless, it is. This is, made in China. It's a DAC. It is a Loxg D50. It's, the guys over at Audio Science Theory, they're in love with this thing. It measures really well. And, I want to start trying this stuff because, on one hand, it is pretty affordable. This guy, I think when it first came out, it was actually a bit higher. I want to say it was in just above 500 or north of 500, maybe even higher than that actually. And it's on sale right now, I think for 549. Don't quote me on that. And I've had this for a while. And here's the thing, it actually is a really nice sounding DAC. I didn't expect much out of this, but it sounds really good. So this will be coming up really soon. LoxG, if I'm saying that right, who knows? LoxG D50, fully balanced DAC. You do have yeah, you have I2S. So you have optical, coaxial, USB, I2S, balanced DAC, single-ended as well. And one of the things that's cool about this guy is it does have the option of running it variable or fixed for gain. And so you can use this as a digital front end and then just plug it into a power amp and you're ready to rock and roll. And there's nothing wrong with that. All right. Let me take a look here. Next up, ooh, the Marison. Okay, so this is another DAC. I want to say the price point on this guy is 1350. This is from across the pond. This is not made in China. This was sent over to review, and I'm excited to check it out. If I'm not mistaken, let me just double check here. Check my notes. I think it's got a Burr Brown in it, but I'm not positive. I know it's Delta Sigma. It's got a discrete output, which is really interesting. That's good. Anyways, I'm not going to get into this. I'll get to it when we get to the review. So this guy is in for review across the pond. I can't exactly remember where it's made, but it's beautiful and it sounds great. When I got Swiss made right there. Swiss made by Defraud Warb. Defraud Warb. Anyways, balanced again. So you have balanced connections on the back, and you do not have I2S. You have USB, 2 optical, and 2 coaxial. And this, let me set this down. This power supply is optional. This does not come with the DAC. You have to pay extra for this. This is going to be a linear power supply that you can buy optional. So I'll be reviewing that soon. So I think it's going to go D50 and then back to back with the Marison. Maybe I'll even do a shoot up between the two. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, so that covers those two. And then this stack right here, kind of front and center. A lot of you guys, unless you've been living under a rock, you already know what this is. I've been really excited to check out specifically this amp right here. This is the AHB2 from Benchmark Media. And I have done some reviews for Benchmark in the past. They are wonderful to work with. I love the Benchmark team. They're good people. And I finally got my grubby hands on the AHB2. For those that don't know what's interesting about this, it's a Class AB amplifier that I think, if we're just going based on, just measurements, I think they are able to say, and it has been backed up, that it is the best measuring amplifier on the planet in terms of how clean it is, lack of distortion, signal to noise ratio, all of these things. It's astonishing how clean this amplifier measures. And so this has been an amp that I've been wanting to check out for quite some time. And I don't think that it really gets a whole lot of attention, which is really surprising to me. So I'm excited to check this guy out. Now, right up above it, we have I think it's the LA4. Let me just check the models real quick. Line amplifier LA4. Yeah, so this is all fully balanced gear, by the way. Fully balanced topology throughout. We have the line amplifier, and you can also run headphones off of this guy. Did they give me the headphone option? They did, yeah. So there's 2 ways to buy this. You can, let me back up. I'm wrong. This is the HPA4. My mistake. So It is their line stage with the headphone section built into it. And so, um, fully balanced, really clean, astonishing measurements to back it up. And then we go up to this little DAC here. And this is the DAC 3. Yeah, DAC 3B. And so Benchmark has been around for quite some time. New York based, I want to say. I think they're New York based. And they kind of shook up the audiophile scene many years ago with their original Benchmark DAC. I mean, that kind of just like blew up the audiophile world, and it did really well for good reasons. And I'm going to be reviewing this entire stack, and I've already been listening to this. I couldn't wait. I was like, I got to just check this stuff out, and it sounds really good. So I'm excited to check this stuff out. I wish they would have sent me 2 of these because I'm insane. You can run them as monoblocks. All right. Let me just take a look here. So we got benchmark. Let's talk. Okay, let's do it. Let's talk about this. This is really interesting. Anybody know what this is? Designed by Jim Fosgate. Smart guy, by the way. This was sent over by Jolita and Black Ice Audio. I'm still a little unclear about how those two companies, like, are they one? Is it just like a partnership? I don't know. And if any of you guys know, by all means, let's go ahead and clean it up in the comment section here. But anyways, this is soundstage in a box. That's the way that I would put it, because it is. It is soundstage in a box. It's the Foz SSX soundstage expander. It's got a 12 AU7 buffer. And on the front controls, you have display on, off, and then display off, but the power is on. So these little LEDs on the front, which I'll talk about in a minute, they do some cool things. And then you have 3 different inputs, and you have a bass EQ. So straight up, noon is as is. Bass is left alone. It's untouched. If you back it down, then you actually attenuate the bass, you bring it down. And then if you want more bass, you can do so. And I think it's up to 9 dB, somewhere around there, of additional bass if you want. And I think that if you go backwards, I think it's like I want to say like -5 or -6 dB. I think -5 or -6 dB, somewhere around there. Anyways, slight adjustments to either bring bass down or bring bass up. I don't know which frequency it's attenuating. I'm not sure. I'll have to find out, and I'll make sure I obviously cover that in the review. This knob is neat. This is the one that we want to talk about. This is, what do they call it? Dimension. And it is narrow or wide or 0. Again, noon. And what this does is, through some, I would say, like phase trickery, is what I'm guessing is what they're doing, and I'll find out the facts. They're messing around with soundstage, and it reminds me a lot of SDA. It's kind of like SDA in a box. Like, you don't need special speakers now. You can just buy this thing, and then from what I can hear, you do a lot of this similar, if not the same things that what I remember hearing with SDA. Maybe not quite as good as SDA, but I'm getting sidetracked. This will literally expand soundstage to the point where it sounds gimmicky. Or if you back it off a little bit, it just expands it to your liking. And that is interesting. So, you guys know that I'm a sucker for soundstage. It's the most important thing to me. And these little lights that light up on the top, it says front, back, left, right. All this is doing is just displaying the signal coming in. It's letting you know where in the stage things are being located. This is silly. I always turn these little LEDs off because I'm like, I can hear where things are at. I don't need to see on a little LEDs. I just turn it off. Anyways, that's what those do. It's just letting you know there's information to the right, there's information on the left, there's information up front and in the back. Um, and with the expander, you can make the sound stage as narrow as you like. And as you do this, as you make things more narrow, I've noticed that couple of different things happen actually. Bass sounds kind of emphasized. It's almost like things just sound a little bit more heavy below the belt. And so that's where I think that they were smart by adding this bass attenuation knob, because then you can be like, that sounds a little bit bloaty. I can turn this down and then you can compensate. On the other hand, you start expanding the sound stage and opening things up literally to the point where things are like to the sides of you. It's crazy how wide this thing gets. It's there's a point where it, in my opinion, it does sound a bit gimmicky, but you just got to balance it. You got to figure out, based on your room and your preference where you want it. What I noticed is that things start to sound thin. And so I was like, oh, I see why they put the bass knob on there, because it's really smart. Jim Fosgate. That's my song about Jim. So yeah, the Foz SSX soundstage expander. And here's the thing with Black Ice. So when I reached out to Jolita about reviewing this, they said, hey, can you call, I forget his name, really nice guy that I talked to on the phone from Black Ice, and talk to him. I was like, okay. And sure enough, what they do is they do like upgrades for Jolita products, is what it sounds like. They like pop the hood and they like do all these crazy trickery, component upgrades and things like that. And this is an upgraded SSX. And I don't think this has ever been reviewed this way. So this will be the very first time that I'm going to be able to chat about what upgrades they did and whether or not, that matters. I know that he used there's 3 different inputs on the back of this, and he used 3 different types of wires, different wire for the 3 different inputs. So it'll be interesting to experience that. And I was kind of surprised by this, but he put Jupiter coupling caps inside this thing. So they're not playing around. It's not like, oh yeah, we upgraded it with some Dayton caps. They're awesome. You're going to love them. It's like, no, stop. It's embarrassing. So they put Jupiter caps in this thing, which is really cool. So, Jared, yeah. Hey, Joey G, good to see you, man. Thank you, Jared from Black Ice. So I'm excited, and I know what you guys are thinking. We got to do some sound clips with this. Now's an opportunity where I can bust out whatever the name is going to be for the new head. Maybe we'll just call him the head. Oh, it looks like my kiddos are awake. We'll bust out the head. We'll do some sound clips with commentary, and I will be able to, you guys will hear the effects of what this thing can do. So I'm totally thrilled and excited about that. All right. Okay, let's set this guy to the side. And this guy, man, I have been so behind on Holo audio products and trying to knock out some reviews. Forever ago, I was sent the Spring 2 DAC from one of our viewers, and he has been so patient. And the purpose and the goal was to compare the Spring 2 with the May DAC. Well, here we have the Spring 3. So it's been too long. So we have the Spring. I have a Spring 2, I have a Spring 3, and then I obviously had the May DAC, and I realized, well, let's make lemonade out of lemons, because I didn't expect it to take so long to get around to doing that comparison, but now I can compare all 3, and I think there is a darn good reason why I should. If you guys are like me, sometimes you like to bargain shop, and dependent on what I have to say, comparing the Spring 3 to the Spring 2 and also the May DAC, some of you guys might say, well, it's still very relevant to cover the Spring 2, because a lot of people are going to be ditching the Spring 2 to get a Spring 3 or a May DAC. And then you guys can swoop in on Hi-Fi Shark and you can grab the Spring 2 at pennies to the dollar. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a shootout. I'm going to talk about all the differences between all three of these. And I'm really impressed with what they've done with the Spring 3. One of the things that they did is they included a lesser version, I think is the appropriate way to say it, a lesser version preamp section of Serene. Serene is their dedicated flagship preamp. And I don't know how much they scaled it down, but this can now be fixed or it can be variable, which is really cool. So you can sit back and just plug this thing into a power amp, and you have an R2R DAC with Serene technology, stripped down Serene technology preamp, and you're ready to rock and roll. So that's really cool. All right, hold on. I'm running out of room. Oh, this was a bad idea. I'm gonna leave them up here. Okay. We're down to the final product. All right, so this is the last product that I want to talk about. So this is a prototype. I guess it's. I mean, I don't. When it comes to like Danny's stuff, I don't know how fancy he's gonna go. This very well just might be exactly what you end up with. It won't be in a fancy, crazy chassis or anything like that. But as I turn this around, a lot of you guys are like, "Oh yeah, that's Danny's." Yeah, it is. It's battery powered. This is a battery powered 10-watt chip amp that Danny and I think Folsom Audio is kind of collaborating on. And I was lucky enough to check out this prototype and to spend some time with it. And if you're just now joining the show, you're going to be able to hear this in action tomorrow. I have some recorded sound clips using the head. I think somebody said the Headmaster, which is actually kind of cool. The head, and you're going to be able to hear this thing. And I've been surprised by it. And it's like we learn these lessons over and over and over again about how many watts we really need, and when things get outrageous, because with the Sapphires, the M3 Sapphires, and I know what you guys keep staring at the silver speaker right there. We'll get to it. With the M3 Sapphires, which are 92 dB and they're 4 ohms, I've measured them, right? So I can see that there is a dip in the response. There's a dip on the impedance sweep right around 50 hertz. And I was kind of concerned that the bass was going to give way with, only 10 watts, this little tiny thing. And man, I was wrong. I was wrong. If anything, it's one of the things that I like about it the most is how clean and quick and precise and controlled the bass is with this little amp. On the Sapphires, I was blown away. And listen, don't take my word for it. Put on a pair of headphones tomorrow morning. I'm going to release that video probably around 9. You can hear it for yourself. And what's cool about it is I didn't just do sound clips of this. I also did sound clips with the Hagel H390. So we have kind of the best of both worlds. We have 10 watts on the Sapphires and 250 freaking watts on the Sapphires, if not more than that. And so that's going to be a really fun video for you guys to check out and just listen to the two using, the head. I think we're going to call him the head. It's just rolling. It's just working. I think we're going to call him the head. So yeah. That covers all the gear, guys. Well, no, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. You guys want to know about this? This little guy? This is a brand new model from Spatial Audio. They do open baffle speakers. And this is the M4 Sapphire. It's 2.5 design, just like the M3. So you have the same Sapphire tweeter, corundum. Tweeter, extremely rigid, very low crossover point, and then you have two 12-inch drivers in this guy. And sensitivity change is minor. You go from 92 dB with the big guy to 90, so it's still reasonably sensitive, quite sensitive actually. And in-room frequency response is expected to be 32 hertz. That's big boy bass. We're not talking little pansy bass. Big boy bass, 32 hertz up to 40K. Um, I'm so excited that spatial audio is going in this direction. And this is on their site now. Right now, you can go to spatialaudiolab.com and you can check out all the rest of the specs if you're interested. There's been what what I love so much about Clayton is he refuses to quit when he's got something good going. It's like it can be better. And with this kind of sleek, rounded, beveled design, I mean, this is just clean. It looks absolutely gorgeous. And he's even changed a little bit with the connectors on the back. This prototype that I have actually has a big giant PowerCon connector, but he's moved to like smaller XLR connectors. So it's like little refinements that he's always just trying to perfect and revise and make things look cleaner and look better. And that also, this is a big deal too. The base is aluminum, like this thick, heavy millet aluminum. I mean, it's insanely rigid. Whereas the older M3 that I have, I guess we can call this the M3 Classic, it's MDF. And this thing is heavy as heck. It's a monster. And when I saw that aluminum base, I was like, dude, this is the kind of stuff that I love to see. It's like, let's take something that is already really amazing and let's refine it and make it better. And just when you think, that's cool, boy, I got news for you. There is also an M6 Sapphire, which is even smaller than this guy. So with that particular speaker, you have two 10-inch drivers. And so after talking to Clayton and Mark from Spatial Audio, they informed me that the goal and the vision for the Sapphire line moving forward is a speaker for every room, small, medium, and large. So the M6 would be great for smaller rooms. The M4 is going to be for, I would say, the vast majority of the rooms out there, medium-sized rooms. And then for big, giant monster listening rooms, you can do the M3. And the M3 is even being revised as well with this new kind of sleek look. And I don't know what his plans are, if he's still going to offer, veneer. I think he's still working through all that and refining it. But Spatial Audio has all of my faith. They will figure this out for sure. And these are in for review. So I will be tackling these, and I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. What about the X series? What about the X series? I still have them. But I think even those are seeing some revisions. And so I'm waiting and I'm talking to Clayton and I'm trying to figure out what makes the most sense in terms of what do we really want to review, what is available now, and what is still being revised or worked on. And so that's just kind of a heads up. So a lot of this is more of foreshadowing of, hey, these will be reviewed. X series will be reviewed. I just don't know if it will be that exact speaker that I have in. It might slightly change. So that's that. So yeah, brand new Sapphires, M6, M4, revised M3s. Everything looks really clean, looks awesome, and I am thrilled for that. All right. So, I just caught this real quick. Somebody said, need desktop open baffle. I agree, but I think it's actually impossible. I think to get really decent bass out of open baffle, it's doing a bookshelf is not like, yeah, just make a bookshelf open baffle speaker. It doesn't work that way. I know because I want one so bad, and every time I bring it up to Clayton and Danny, they're like, we've tried, it just doesn't work." And we're being video bombed by my son. "Hey, buddy. Hey, Captain. You wanna sit with me for the rest of the show?" "I'm fine with that. We're just gonna answer questions here, homie." "No, maybe not." You wanna oh, you see all those pretty lights down there. You wanna push buttons. Alright, so, I don't think this'll work. I gotta get him back to mom. Go play, buddy. Alright, so for the rest of the show, I'm gonna answer your questions. So let's go ahead and open things up, and we're 37 minutes in. I'll probably spend the next 20 minutes or so, answering questions. Hopefully I didn't miss too much. Let me just take a brief moment and just read over what has been said so far. Uh, looks like I've covered everything. Looks like I've covered everything. Okay. Um, yeah. Okay. So opening up for questions. What do you guys got? We'll spend the next, 15, 20 minutes or so just answering questions, and anything goes. So that's all that is not all the gear that I have in for review. That is a lot of the gear that I could put on the table. I actually have more. There's some speakers that I have out in the storage trailers that I have, and oh, excuse me, and a whole bunch of other stuff. That was gross. Um, yeah, so stuff that couldn't fit on the table. All right, here we go. Got a question from Craig Arnold. "Hi, Ron. Have you ever tried the Lingorf Room Perfect system, particularly with spatial audio speakers? Lingorf also has dipole speakers, and RP is designed to work well with them." Craig, no, I haven't. I've never even heard of Room Perfect. I don't know what that is. So that you, I'm curious. I'll have to check that out. I'll have to check that out. Have you listened to the new M4, and what are your initial impressions? Ed, I have, but I need to be transparent and honest with you guys that I've when this was sent to me, the crossover was not finalized. And so this is an early version of the crossover. He just wanted to get it over to me as soon as he could and kind of get some feedback and some thoughts about it. And even with the crossover not being finalized that is in there, I think this is going to be probably one of their best selling models. I think that just based on the size of it and what I heard, even compared to my M3, I was blown away by little how little the sacrifice that you make by going to a smaller speaker than the M3. I was like, the bass isn't going to be there, but that's not true. It is there. Um, and in terms of its performance with mid band and beyond, it might be better in some ways. I need to really spend a little bit more time with it to find out if what I'm hearing is true, but, this could start moving in the direction of, a little bit smaller baffle, thinner baffle, rounded edges. I don't know if these tiny little things are, revisions are making that big of an impact in what I'm hearing when it comes to mid-band and beyond. But what I've noticed with the M4 when compared to the M3, and both of the speakers I think do a very good job of just kind of vanishing in the room. I think the M4 more so than the M3. I think this might be their vanishing king, or maybe even their little M6 might be the vanishing king because it's so tiny. But I was surprised by how it just poof gone. Very holographic presentation. So um, I'm really excited. And so I think as early as next week, Clayton is going to be sending me out the latest version of this crossover after it's being completed and revised and they're ready to go. And it's the same one that you would get if you buy one now. So I'm going to swap out the crossover, check it out, burn it in because yes, burn-in is a thing. and then I will get to work, and I'll let you guys know what I think. Yeah. All right. Let's take a look here. Jonathan Casper asks, "Hi Ron, just wondering if you've had the chance to hear any Deckware amps, particularly the Zen Trio 25th anniversary. I've got a pair of Cornwalls, and these are high on my candidate list." Man, Jonathan, I wish I reached out to them a long time ago, and it just didn't happen. I can't. I think that Steve actually replied to me, but it was just kind of a weird reply. It was just more like, no, not really interested. But that was a long time ago. I mean, we're talking ages ago. So um, maybe I'll reach out to them because I think it would be fun to check out some of the Deckware stuff. I've always been curious about it. All right. Let's see here. Champer says, "My M4 Sapphire should be here in a couple of weeks. Champer, please do me a favor. Shoot me an email, ron@newrecordday.com. The second that you have it in, let me know your early impressions, your first impressions. I'll be curious." Yeah, yeah. Joey, my friend Joey from Arizona is asking, "Would you consider reviewing the Orchard Audio Star Crimson Ultra Audio Stereo Amplifier?" I'm back on the bandwagon at New Record Day. Um, I don't know, maybe. I actually have his pecan pie. I gotta get back to that guy. He's probably like, "Ron stole my pecan pie. He stole it. He moved to Texas with it." Um, I have his pecan pie, and I've been meaning to review it. I haven't had the time to really sit down and sink my teeth into it. So yeah, I mean, I'm certainly not opposed to it, Joey. Not opposed to it at all. Joey says, "Sold to Jolita to finance a 5-channel build. All the boards I blew up last year. Leo has now put both input protection on the board and soft start module for no AC bumps." That's great. That is awesome. That's great to hear. If you don't know what Joey is referring to, and this is one of the things that I didn't love about the Orchard Audio amplifiers, they're GaN amps, gallium nitride, I think, Class D GaN amps, and if you do not connect them completely, inputs, outputs, everything, and before you turn on the unit, you actually can blow up the amplifier. You can destroy it. You can ruin it, and then it's broke, and then you just wasted all that money. You're out of luck. And that really concerned me. I was like, that to me, in my opinion, sounds like a product that isn't quite ready because, here it is and you know 2021. It's like people are human, and we're gonna make mistakes. We have busy lives, and it's like I would hate to like plug in an amplifier and destroy it because I forgot to plug in an input or an output or whatever the case may be. So, um, anyways, so that's that. Um, Sorry, I just got distracted. I just got an interesting email from somebody. Okay. So anyways, that takes care of that. How do the spatials compare to the OBs from GR Research? Man, this is a tired and old question. I'm not trying to offend you, but I mean your question is fine. It's just that I've already answered this like in depth in a video. If you just go to my channel and you just do a search for Autica Spatial or Autica Sapphire, there's a lengthy video where I break it down. Key differences between those two. And it's like a 30-minute video. So I'm not going to just, you know, do it all over again now live. It's just not the appropriate time to do it. So, um, GBRM, go to my channel, type in Autica, type in Sapphire, and you should be able to find that video. And there's a comparison video where I talk about the differences. What do I think, Mr. John? Um, what do you think about Sith Audio? I don't know what Sith Audio is. Is that is that something that Randy is bringing to market? Is that something he's been working on? Um, a lot of people thought that Randy and I had like a spat, like we got into an argument, and that's why I went away. No, no. We had an arm wrestling match, and I won. And I mean, he got a little bit upset about it. So I don't know. I don't know what to say. You know, you got the big guns. You got the big guns. Okay, let's take a look here. See, it's funny, John. Yes, Randy's sponsor audio company. Yeah, see, I figured. It sound as soon as you said Sith Audio, I was like, that's something that Randy would do. He can be a real handful. I'll tell you that Randy. That Randy. Um, do you have S402 already? No. I'm Here's what I would expect is, I would expect that you'll see Zero Fidelity do an early review of it, and it'll be a praise. So, that will happen. That's bound to happen. And then, down the road, maybe some others, will be able to check it out and tell you what you guys think, to tell you what we think about the S400 too. I'm excited. Maz Bukhart is a great guy. He's a gentleman. I've loved working with him in the past, and I'd be happy to check out the S400 too. Maz, I'm talking to you. I'm talking to you. All right, let's take a look here. Will Sapphire M6 need minimum 3 to 4 feet from the wall? Um, None of the Sapphires need 3 to 4 feet from the wall. They need about 2.5 to 3 feet. That is, and I've tested this myself over and over again. Make no mistake, I don't want you to just, if you have the room, if you have the ability to move them deeper into the room, I think you should try it. But 2.5 to 3 feet is fine, and it'll work. So, with that little M6, that would be the same situation as 2.5 feet, 3 feet, no problem. Ted Pointnick. Hey Ron, any further thoughts on the X series? No, not a whole lot. I did pull them out the other day and did some comparisons between um them and the Sapphires, the M3 Sapphires, which are they're my reference, speaker at this point. And they're both very good, and they both have strengths, and they both this is such a complicated question because I would say that based on my environment, I might choose the X series over a Sapphire. And what I mean by that is if I didn't have the luxury of having a room that is symmetrical, that I can acoustically treat and do a whole lot of stuff with, where things are kind of wonky, where maybe the wall is opened up on one side and it's, closed off on the other, and you have all of these weird type things going on, and there's really no way to treat the room or do anything with the room. That's where controlled directivity can save the day. And that's something that the X series has up its sleeve. That's its ace in the hole, is that you have controlled directivity. And at the same time, if that's not enough, you also have the ability to control the bass to your liking. So it is a plate amp on the subwoofer that allows you to dial in the bass to your liking. So again, this is a tricky situation. And when I do get around to talking about the X series, even if it's after revisions, I think I'm just going to have to be balanced in that these might be two totally different speakers for two totally different people, right? It's like you're either a Sapphire guy or you're an X guy. And I think they're both wonderful, and they both have a lot of really great traits. If you were to ask me point blank right now, which one do I like more? I like the Sapphire more. This is after quite a bit of listening, reflecting, thinking about it. I'm just a Sapphire guy. There's something about the top end to me that is just refined, and I want to use that word well, meaning smoothed out just enough to where I can play just about anything on a Sapphire and get away with it. Whereas with the X series, that thing it is a detail machine. I mean, it's not gonna hold back. It's not like, hey, let me refine that top end for you. No, it's like all there all the time. And so perhaps based on the recordings or whatever it is that you're listening to, that might make you swim in one direction or another. Um, anyways, I'm a Sapphire guy. To the bone. I don't think that's gonna change even in the end of a full review of the X series. I think I'm still gonna like, if you were to ask me my own bias and my opinion, I think I would still probably choose a Sapphire because I'm a Sapphire guy. I love the way they sound. So, hopefully that's helpful. Um, alright. For Ronus, I need a stereo DAC for around $400. I was looking at the Topping D30 Pro. Thoughts? I've never heard the Topping D30 Pro, so I can't comment on that DAC. The guy that you want to ask, or if you're not subscribed to his channel, is Cheap Audio Man. I think he has somewhere in the ballpark of 337 DAC reviews that are probably around that price that are already done. And so they're on his channel and you can watch them. And if you're in the market for you know, bookies, that's what we call bookshelf speakers. That's what Randy calls them. He calls them bookies. He has like over a million. And so I think he's now reviewed every single bookshelf speaker on planet Earth. And so he's tired. He's taking a nap right now. That's why he's not on the show here with us. He's taking a nap. And he deserves it. All right. John Ladd asks, spatial audio plus Hegel match made in heaven, question mark. I guess we'll hear tomorrow, but the high damping factor seems like it would be great with them. John, check out the clips tomorrow, my friend. I think that all of your questions about that combo will be answered in about 6 seconds of Death Row. And if you're not into that particular track, there's another one that I did from Dominic Fils-Aimé called Rise, and you'll know in about 4 seconds. Like, oh, okay. You'll know. You'll know. All right. Let's just take a look here. Michael Walker asks, Ron, can you speak to the best way to choose a sub and how to integrate the sub into your system? So sub isn't obvious. I tried Velodyne and it sounded terrible. Going to try REL next. Mike, I have a video planned and it's been planned for a while and it's now at the point of kind of being scripted out in terms of how I want to actually tackle it. That will be a lot. Wow, this is a wordplay. A lot like LOTS, which is loudspeaker optimization techniques for soundstage. This was a lengthy video that had a lot of thought put into it about speaker placement. And I'm going to do the same thing with bass. And I think it's going to be called Boss. Bass optimization, soundstage, something or another. Superior soundstage, boss. Are you a boss? I think I'm going to do that. And so, well, I don't think I'm going to do that. And in that video, I will cover everything that you need to know to tackle bass, subwoofers, subwoofer integration, crossover points, phase relationship between the mains, where to place the subs, where not to place the subs, the whole 9 yards. I'm going to cover it all. So that's coming. Hang tight. Hang tight. And I'm sorry that your Velodyne sounded terrible. REL subs, a lot of people love them. A lot of people love them. Might be making a good choice there. All right, let's take a look here. Michael Walker, Ron, are you getting the new Neil Young live at Carnegie Hall? Absolutely. I didn't even realize that there was a new one coming out. I would love to do that. Yeah, I'm assuming that it's just a remaster, or are you saying that I don't know what that is. So I'm assuming it's just a remaster of Neil Young at Carnegie Hall. But let me know. Yeah. Unless it's like a new performance, which would be awesome. That'd be killer. Ron, hi. This is not a gear question. I was watching one of your videos on your best sounding music, and your best one was the Jazz at the Pawn Shop. Curious which pressing you have. The really expensive one. I paid a lot of money for it. I have it over there, but I'd probably trip over these Sapphires to get to it. If you don't mind, just send me an email asking that same question, and I'll pull it out and I'll let you know exactly what pressing it is. John is asking, serious question. Have you listened to the Drop Hi-Fi Man HEX4 headphones? If so, thoughts? I have not. I have not. So I don't know, John. John, did you ever buy some Mezes? I love I'm telling you, 99 Classic or the Neo. They're both great. Have you ever heard a speaker with a raw ribbon tweeter? And if so, would you prefer the Sapphire tweeter? Yes, I would, and yes, I have. Um, they're good. A lot of those ribbon tweeters have um, directivity issues, problems with directivity. That's vertical access, horizontal access. Um, most of them have problems, and it's hard to get away from those problems. But um, to answer your question, I definitely would take the Sapphire's tweeter over any raw that I know of, that I've heard, that I've spent time with easily. All right. Let's just take a look here. Hi, Ron. Can you recommend a small tower speaker like the PSB Alpha T20, only more detail oriented? I find the T20 to bloated and rolled off. I'm not at all surprised by that. Yeah, so that's the problem with the T20 is I mean, it's just kind of a bloaty sounding speaker. I mean, it's definitely like mid bass forward. Depending on what your budget is, Vincent, if you can let me know what your budget is, that would be helpful. Um, Maybe the debut reference. Debut reference is one of my favorite bookies out there. That would be it would have all of the strengths of the T20, and it would give you what I think you're looking for and less of what the T20 isn't doing well. It's gonna tighten things up in the bass and the mid bass, but at the same time, it's gonna give you some more sparkle on top. So careful, buddy. That's running the show. My son Elliot is at my feet where I have my Rodecaster Pro that's kind of controlling the whole show. So if things start going wonky, show's over. What's this power button do? All right. A couple more questions and we'll finish up. Let's see here. James Derby asks dual rel T0s with B&O CX100s. James, I'm not sure I'm not familiar with those models, so I can't answer that question. Michael Walker, double LP on December 4th, 19... Oh, and you guys there? Okay, I'm back. All right. Um, Sorry, I got sidetracked there. My son just muted you guys, or muted me. You got tired of me chatting. Double LP on December 4th, 1970. Neil Young played two legendary solo acoustic shows at New York's Carnegie Hall. 23 songs, 2 LP. Yeah, so this is Michael, you're for sure. I'm all about it. I'd be happy to check that out for sure. Warren Willis asks, Ron, of all the speaker amp combos you have heard, which ones perform best at low levels? 60 dB range. 60 dB. Hey, Natty. It's a flying Natty. Come here. You want to finish up the show with me? I don't listen that low, so it's kind of hard to say. I will listen like 70s, 80s. But it's funny that you mentioned that because that is one of the strengths of the X series. the X series, what I noticed is that might be one of the best low listening, like late night low listening speakers that I spent time with, just because of the fact that it's it's so detail centric and it gives you all of that resolution that you could ask for in the music. And then if you turn it down low, that resolution is still there and you can now control the bass. And so you can bring the bass up. It's kind of like having a loudness button, if you will. Um, and that speaker at low volumes, I remember listening to it late night and I texted Clayton. I was like, dude, this might be one of the best low listening late night speakers that I've ever heard. So that would be one that just from recent memory, Warren, that really blew my mind for sure. What is the status of the SVS Ultra Tower review? Sorry if you already asked, just joined. Ben, I haven't answered that question. It is one of the speakers that's in the trailer. And that the good news is that's the next speaker that will be reviewed. So that will be the next. No, it won't. I lied to you. I've got some little JBL bookies that came in that are awesome. Oh, they're so freaking good. That I'm going to review. And then the SVS Ultra Towers will be up for the review. So we're 2 speaker reviews away from that guy. So it's going to be soon. All right. 11 o'clock, did an hour. My typical time for a show. Kids are going crazy, trying to take over. This is what I get for trying to do a live show in the listening room. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed the show. Frequency Friday back on the menu. Just to follow up, if you just joined, Frequency Friday means what it is that every single Friday we will do a live show, and the shows are going to be specific, intentional about topics. So it's not going to be just whatever, just hey, I'm just here to answer questions. I will answer questions. But we're going to try to be intentional about topics, tackling certain things, and the show will be every single Friday. I might change the time slots just to try to hit everybody in different time zones. And that's that. All right, guys. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. And we will see you knuckleheads in the next video. Watch tomorrow's video. It's out like 9 o'clock. You're going to love it. It's awesome. Watch tomorrow's video. Trust me.